You are watching or listening to Purham and Associates. For more information, go to rpurham.com or follow me on all social media platforms and subscribe at RPURHAM. Thanks. See you over there. Hey, good day to you all. Welcome to Purham and Associates. I'm your host, Randy Purham, and hey, hope y'all are having a wonderful week thus far. Today is Wednesday, September 24th. Oh my God, this month is just breezing by, but it's getting cooler outside. Thank God, because Texas heat. Yeah, we don't get along like that, but nonetheless, hey, we got a very special guest with us today. Excuse me. He's a returning guest. Many of y'all know who he is by now, but for those that don't, I would do this for you. He is Richard C. Lyons. He is the author of The DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, and Shadows of Acropolis, Volume 2. And he was born and raised in Midwestern United States. His education took him through Loyola Academy, the University of North Texas, and a graduate career at Southern Methodist University. Lyons has been a lifelong admirer of the written word, which has led him to literary pursuits as a poet, essayist, and screenwriter. Professionally, Lyons is a third-generation printer whose father dedicated his life to education in the publishing and telecommunication fields. Lyons has been involved in printing, publishing, stage, and television production throughout his professional career. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing himself and presenting to others, Mr. Richard Lyons. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, Randy. How are you?
Doing well. Living the dream, Can't say that I'm dodging any bullets today yet. so all is well in Austin, Texas.
Oh, good.
But tell us, welcome back. First of all, but tell us what you've been up to the last few months since you last been on.
Well, I write articles for different periodicals based on what's occurring in real time these days. And so my last couple of articles involve the divide between the ideology on the left and the ideology that we enjoy, Randy, which are based in our original principles.
Awesome. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to get your take on what happened to Charlie Kirk and those on the I can't even say it's on the left, because I have seen actually some alleged right wingers, who didn't like Charlie Kirk for whatever reason. I don't know how you don't,
yeah.
but those, so they celebrating it too. So I can't just placate it that it's just the left. But I want to get your thoughts on those who are celebrating, an assassination like that, and celebrating the downfall of a voice that was actually promoting civil discourse. It just, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. It's almost been 2 weeks now. I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? It's
a great question, Randy, and I don't think a lot of people understand it. But I mean, it goes all the way back to our founding, when our founders, when they created the Constitution, created assemblies, representative assemblies, in order for everybody to have representation through a voting system, to allow everybody to feel a part of the decision-making process. that goes forward. The problem with socialism, and this is the American left these days, is if they don't succeed politically, and they did not at the last election, or they don't succeed economically, and they are not because they're not getting their green energy deal, or they cannot succeed culturally, and that is exactly where Charlie Kirk threatened them on college campuses, because those are wholly owned territory of the political left, right? And have been at least since the 1960s.
Yeah, very much so.
So their remedy when they cannot succeed politically or economically by owning the American economy, or culturally by dictating the terms of what we're talking about every day and how we view the world, their resort is to violence. And this is not just in this country, it is not just in the last month with Charlie Kirk, it's not just with the Trump assassination attempts. This goes back to Bolshevik Russia. Yeah. It goes back to Mussolini's Italy. It goes to Hitler's Nazi Germany. It goes to Mao's China. It goes to the Russia under the Soviet Empire. This is what they do. It's how they gain power and how they retain power.
Yeah.
Our system was uniquely set up not to allow that. And so my last article, for instance, and it should be coming out now, I just have to grab a piece of paper here to make sure I don't miss anything. This is not the article. This is from my book, Shadows of the Acropolis. And there are 5 reconciling systems wherewith this country was founded that are just wonderful systems for reconciling a society, for letting the opposite ends of the society meet in the middle, right? They reconcile opposites. One is federalism, where, the state of Texas doesn't have to be told by the state of California what laws it can have. I mean,
thank God.
Texas makes its own laws. Austin as a city makes its own laws. California has no place there.
Right.
We've lost our federalism because most decisions are being made in Washington, D.C. The constitutional law, the law that everybody is under the same law. When you see the FBI attacking the Trump family, Trump himself, the Trump campaign, the Trump presidency, that is not common constitutional law. That's breaking the Constitution. By everybody living, rich and poor, whatever party, living under one Constitution, that reconciles society, right? Then free enterprise. If there's mobility, right, in an economy, anybody can rise to a higher level by working harder, by self-education. There's a lot of different manners in which a person can raise themselves to whatever sphere they look at. What Charlie Kirk did.
Yeah,
he was just a kid out of Broadview, Illinois, and became this icon of a massive organization, Turning Point USA.
Yep.
He's a great example again. And then Christianity, and this is what people forget, and it's what the left attacks more than anything. They want your faith to be in the state. Christianity is one of the most reconciling ethics ever born on this earth, because it takes the wealthy person and makes them humble, and it takes the humble person and gives them hope. And it counsels everybody to be modest, and counsels everybody to get along with their neighbor. I can't imagine you couldn't invent a better reconciling ethos for a nation than Judeo-Christianity. You really couldn't.
You're absolutely right about that. And we're seeing a rise of Islamization here, in the United States, and in Texas particularly. Texas particularly, we're seeing that growth, and a lot of people, they're still trying to reconcile the difference between being a Muslim and being an Islamist. And the distinction, ladies and gentlemen, is that the Islamists, they are wanting, a more of a jihadi approach to things, Sharia law. They're trying to implement Sharia law. We just have to, it's kind of mind-boggling that we had to pass a law to say that you cannot have Sharia law in Texas. It's like, duh, but there's these compounds that are popping up, springing up around Texas that are Islamic led, excuse me, and they are trying to do these things, and so there's a crackdown going on there, but the problem is it's not so much of some people are arguing that we're infringing on the freedom of religion and the expression thereof, and it's like, not really, because we have to look at how Sharia law, their interpretation, some, not all, interpretation of Sharia law is antithetical to the U.S. laws, to U.S. I guess you'll say way of living, the culture, and everything else. And it's okay to say, no, you can't do that. You can practice your faith. Don't get me wrong here. We're not saying you can't practice being a Muslim, but that element of it is actually anti-Western, anti-Christianity, anti-American, anti-constitutional.
Yes.
It's unconstitutional, in a breadth of things, because you're infringing on rights of other people. You're violating, the human laws, human nature laws and stuff like that. So there's that confusion, and I want to get your thoughts on that element there, if you will.
Well, Randy, you couldn't have said it better. But I would just say that the thing about Judaism is that it's voluntary. You volunteer to be a Jew.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
They're not looking for converts. In Christianity, there is evangelism, but again, it's voluntary. You volunteer to be a Christian. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In Islam, there's two. The Muslim view of the world is this. Half of the part of the world that follows Islam is called Dar al-Islam, followers of Islam. Mm-hmm. The term for everybody else on earth under Islam is Dar al-Arab. That's the part of the world with which Islam is at war.
Yeah.
They don't believe in volunteerism, in the voluntary conversion to Islam. If you do not believe in Islam, they believe they can use a sword to convert you to Islam, either with a threat or really with terrorism. And this is the critical difference between the Abrahamic religions. The Judeo faith is voluntary. Christian faith, voluntary. Muslim faith, coerced or demanded. So it's and it is why they feel they are within their rights to commit acts of terrorism. Mm-hmm. Because if you are not Islam, they are at war with you. Yeah. And their faith dictates that they give their life, even as they take yours, to convert you to Islam. Mm-hmm. And so Sharia law doesn't fit the American system because Islam itself doesn't allow freedom of faith.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You have to be Islam.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's mind-boggling to me that the idea that if you don't believe what I believe, I'm gonna kill you to make you believe what I believe is like. Right. I'm gonna be dead.
Right.
But okay, all right. I guess when
Islam began, Randy, that was very effective.
Yeah,
as they rolled over the old Roman Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire, it was very effective. Yeah. Whole populations, they put a sword to them and said, "You're either going to convert or you're not going to survive the day."
Yeah,
and it was very effective.
Yeah, and to add to that, there is the argument there, and I acknowledge it, is that, well, that's what happened with the Crusades, with the Christian Crusades. I'm like, okay, yeah, to a small degree, but, it was still a choice. Whether you... Yeah. It was a choice. However, they did kill them if they didn't convert. So there's a little bit of that too, So I guess you could say it's a balance in the ecosystem there in a way. But I want to follow up and jump back over to the First Amendment real quick in the discussion of a lot of people take what the First Amendment means. They take it out of context to convenience is what I call it. And I want to get your thoughts on the censorship game that's being played right now. A lot of people, will have a Jimmy Kimmel. He came back. His show came back last night. Whatever. I don't watch it.
Did anybody watch it?
I don't know. I don't watch it. But he came back on last night. But people were saying that he was censored, and I'll say my argument was, number one, he wasn't censored because he could go on any platform. He could create his own podcast and stuff like that if it was that serious.
Yes.
That's number one.
Great point. That's a great point.
Exactly.
Great point.
Yeah, and so, I was deplatformed many times, and I just went on to something else and kept on going, So, yeah, it's an inconvenience. I get it, and it is frustrating that you have to start all over again with followers and monetization. I get all that, but nonetheless, your voice is not necessarily being eliminated from the public space. You're not being killed, in the process of it. So, I want to get your thoughts on the game that's being played in the censorship model from both, the employer perspective, the media, and the government on what's going on today.
Well, that's a big subject.
Yeah, I know.
But what happened with Jimmy Kimmel, as I understand it, and it's as I understand it from the facts I've read, was that after he made the statement blaming the assassination of Charlie Kirk on MAGA, for which Charlie Kirk was an exponent. He was a patron of the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
He helped it. He helped Trump get elected. To accuse someone on his own side of having killed him when it's obvious from the facts that is not the case. It's the opposite, right? It's a violent leftist that put a bullet through his neck. So that all right, you have Disney on top, and they own ABC, but then under that corporate national or international umbrella, you have subscribership, and the subscribership is Sinclair, which owns a lot of local stations, and then Nexstar, which owns other local stations. And the two of them together said to Disney, we will not accept Jimmy Kimmel on our stations. And they still haven't, because what he said was so egregiously wrong right now. So Disney can make decisions for what's best for its company. You hire salesmen to represent your product.
Right.
If you're a television station, you have television shows that represent product. It's your product. You don't have to put a product out. There's nothing in law that says you have to put a certain product out.
Yeah.
So Sinclair and Nexstar said, no, we do not want Jimmy Kimmel. ABC at the time agreed, okay, we're suspending him for a week. Let's talk about it. Right?
Yep.
Sinclair and Nexstar haven't budged. They still won't put Kimmel on. But ABC said, well, we'll put Kimmel there, and if you want to put him as a product on your local stations, Sinclair, Nexstar, you can.
Yep.
But they haven't. And that should tell you something. It's because there's a lot of people in this country who doesn't want to see that empty bag of wind who lies to people with regularity and has no talent anyway.
I agree with you there. And, I told people...
And you're exactly right, Randy. Have him do a podcast.
Yeah, and maybe he'll get a big following. Yeah, maybe he'll get a bit. Maybe he'll get a bigger following because the network is not working out for him.
His ratings are tanked.
Yes, and that's the same thing what happened with Colbert. He's still on the air right now, but they effectively canceled his contract for the ensuing season. And so people are like, well, here's the government, the Trump administration is canceling and using the arm of the government to
nothing to do with it.
I'm like,
they have nothing to do with it.
I'm like, even if
Colbert
he did,
was costing,
I'm like, even if he
Colbert
did,
was costing his network $40 million a year.
Yes, $40 million. Yeah. Exactly. I was like, that's crazy. I would have been getting rid of this guy. I don't care how popular you are with some people. You cost me $40 million. See you, brother. No, I don't care. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm like, even if the government did step in and say, "Hey, we want this show canceled," or "Hey, we don't want these people saying anything," it's still up to the market to whether or not they agree with the government in that regard. Because the market at the end of the day is going to say, okay, the government says we can do something, but we will find a way to do it, and if we want it. And that's why I said, he had an opportunity to do a podcast or go on a more independent outlet or something like that and bring that popularity there. And then it would show the government like, hey, you're actually wrong in this respect. And so, but you're right. The government didn't have anything to do with it. They're trying to blame it. So the FEC chair, he came on a podcast the day before and said he should be canceled. President Trump says, The View should be canceled. I say The View should be canceled. I've been saying The View should have been canceled for years now, and they still around.
Okay.
The president and we agree there.
I take a different view. I take a different view. I don't mind seeing them, their lunacy. But
it is entertaining. Yeah,
it's entertaining, but you can't deliberately lie to people,
right?
And deliberately insult them.
Yeah,
and that's what the FCC chair was talking about. Watch your step.
Yeah,
this is not. You don't have a license to lie and to use propaganda.
True.
You don't.
And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I believe it was. I know it was under the Obama administration. I do know that much, but it was. I want to say the year was around 2012 cycle, where they passed a law that pretty much gave media companies the free rein to lie and say they can. I forget what it was titled as, but it was basically
the equal time.
I'm sorry.
Time. It had to do with equal time?
No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with that. It was just basically just telling the media outlets that they would have the ability or the right to basically be pundits and be opinionists versus having to tell the actual news. So it was under that construct, and that's where we saw the evolution, or I should say devolution of media. Legacy media. Ever since then, it was like, well, we can come on here and pretend like this is news, but it's not really news. It's just our opinion being formatted and giving news. So that started under the Obama years, and I'm just wondering, why is it that the media, or I should say Congress, has not said, let's reverse that law and actually compel the media not what to say, but they would have to, distinguish that this is the news, this is what happened, these are the facts, and this is our opinion, type of thing. That should be the thing, and people say, well, that's violating the First Amendment. I'm like, no, it's not, because you're telling, if they're going to have that megaphone broadcasting, being, a public entity, they should be held to a standard of informing the public on what is actually the truth. And then it's okay, to say, hey, this panel here that's coming on, they're purely opinion. This is their thoughts. This has nothing to do with, our brand or whatever the case or what the facts are. This is just their thoughts. If you like it, great. If not, oh well, type of thing. I see it. That's the way it should be. It's like that over in Europe. You don't find media over there. That's why I prefer to watch BBC and Al Jazeera and all that. I watch that versus American media because you actually get down the middle. You may not like the way they present it, but it's the facts. So I don't know. I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think you put it really, really well. If you just state, okay, these are the facts. Fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The facts concerning something that happened. These are the facts, and they're verified. On this, and on the other hand, this is our opinion regarding these facts. We think this is what the facts mean, right? But you have to agree as to the truth of fact. I think you're exactly right about that, Randy.
Yeah. AOC, she's one of these storytellers. That's what I call her. She's a storyteller.
That's very kindly put.
Yeah, they're a storyteller. They tell these imaginary, fairy tales and stuff like that. And along with Greg Kassar, what's his name, Bernie Sanders, all these yahoos. But particularly AOC, she's thinking that she can run for president in 2028 under the socialist banner. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of these candidates that are popping up today, they're running under on the left. They're running under this the idea of socialism, and it's actually getting popular. And I'm like getting really befuddled about this. I'm like, do y'all really know what it is that you're voting for or supporting? And a lot of them actually give a very succinct, concrete explanation or logic why they support it. They're like, well, what's wrong with having the government having take it from the rich and disperse it down amongst everybody else? They make these salient points. I'm just like, the way you put that, I can see why you would like that, but at the end of the day, as Margaret Thatcher says, socialism is great until you run out of other people's money. Then what? Type of thing. So I just want to get your
that's. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is that our country is not educated as to what socialism means.
Yeah,
it is another word. It's tyranny. All right, Randy. Who decides whose wealth will be taken by the government? Who decides who gets that wealth?
Yeah.
Who decides who gets health care? Right? Who decides who gets education?
Yeah.
Who decides any of this? The government does. Well, you're talking about concentration of wealth and power in one place. Mm-hmm. And it either begins or it leads to tyranny because the persons making those decisions end up with all the money.
Yeah.
They end up with all the health care.
Thank you.
They end up with all the education. They end up with all the goods of society, and everybody else is poor.
Yep.
That is Venezuela. That is Cuba. It's China.
Yeah.
As much as they've been enriched by our generosity, really. Mm-hmm. That society is still the very, very wealthy and the very, very poor.
Yeah.
And that is socialist society. Look at Russia and the oligarchs. It's the same thing. Putin decides who succeeds and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Who has money and who doesn't. If he doesn't like you, he kills you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically.
That's socialism.
That's the crazy part. You just said something there, Rich, that everybody that thinks that socialism is great is like, okay, you may think it's great, but at the end of the day, you're not going to benefit from it. You're not part of that. You're not part of that elite class that is trying to incorporate this. If they're trying to push this power grab, and say, hey, we want to get rid. I say take Bernie Sanders for example. He's a millionaire. How are you a sitting member of the U.S. Senate? And you're a millionaire, you have multiple homes, you're flying around on private jets and everything else, and you're saying that we're on this tour against oligarchy. It's like, you on a tour against yourself? Because you're displaying that, guy. Hello, read the room. Yes. So, but people are missing that. We got Beto O'Rourke down here in Texas. He's running around saying the same stuff, and it's like, okay, you got an entire security detail around you. You have, a chauffeur driving you around. You're flying around on a private jet, and you're saying, you're fighting against the tyranny of government, and you're fighting against oligarchy. You're in that class too, guy. Read the room. Now, Randy, if I go around, driving around in my little pickup truck, and I'm swiping my own debit card to pay for gas and everything else, I'll say I'm fighting against tyranny. I may have a valid point here. Or fight against oligarchy and stuff. I may have a valid point because I'm not in that class. I'm doing everything out of my own pocket. So it's just mind-boggling to me that people are not aware. They're not self-aware at that what they're feeding into is BS, and that it doesn't apply to them, and they're willing to.
It's got it just right.
Yeah,
you got it exactly right. AOC, Beto O'Rourke, or all these persons who profess, or Mom Donnie, all these people who profess.
Yeah, I'm another one.
That they're going to take everything from wealthy people while they live better than wealthy people.
Yeah,
they do with their security. I don't have the wealth they have. I don't have a security detail. I'm like you, Randy. I've got a Jeep that I drive around. I don't have a limousine.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And yet they want to take my Jeep so they can have another limousine, so they can have two,
Yeah.
right? And they want to take my rights so they can have, the state can have my rights, and they run the state. That's tyranny right there.
I wish people would pay attention and wake up to what it is that these folks are doing. But a lot of them are. I give it to them. A lot of them they're starting to snap out of it. Especially here in Austin.
Yeah.
We have a thing.
Well, your show should help.
I would think it is. I would think it is, because there are people that come up to me on the street now and they're like, "Hey, you're that guy that has a podcast here," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. You want my autograph?" They're like, "No, I just like your show."
You're gonna need a security detail.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And so it is growing. A lot of people are starting to recognize, especially locally here, what it is that I do, especially being involved in the politics here.
Right.
So they're recognizing, and they're paying attention. They're saying, "Hey, thank you for that message," and I'm like, "Oh, what message?" I say a lot of things, but nonetheless, there is a growing sentiment of pushing back on what's going on, because here this November we have at the city level a ballot proposition called Prop Q, in which they are wanting to raise the property taxes by essentially each taxpayer is paying an additional $300 a year. To infinity. There's not even a cap on it. That's the other thing. That's the other crazy part.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Yes.
A lot.
And it's a $6 billion. The city of Austin passed a $6 billion budget, and they have a $33 million shortfall on the current budget. So they said, "Hey, I know. Let's create a new tax and tax these people to help pay for these things." And they're trying to fund things that failed last year. And they said, "Well, we just need to put more money into it." And it's like, oh, hell no. The Democrats
Never
here
become permanent.
Yes, it is, exactly, and that's their intent. And so Democrats are banning with they're jumping on board with the Republicans here, and we're very few in the the pool here. And they're saying, "Hey, you guys are right. We're going to push back against this. We need your help." So we're like, "Oh, okay, all right." So we find common ground here. They don't want more taxes, and they see where it's coming from. They see like the likes of Greg Casar and Mayor Kirk Watson and the city council here is gaslighting people, telling them, "Hey, we got to take care of the homeless crisis here. We have to create affordable housing." And it's like, affordable housing for who exactly? If you're propping up all these different, the condos and these apartment complexes and everything else, and you're making the rent $2,000-$3,000 because who is that affordable for exactly? And then they say like, "Oh, well, we're going to put the homeless in these places."
No, and
who's paying for that? Mm-hmm.
If I may, if you're raising taxes, you're raising rents.
Yes, exactly.
Because anybody who owns property there and pays more taxes is going to demand more rent.
And more rent. Exactly.
And if the Fed chair keeps rates high, as he has without any basis in fact, that's keeping housing unaffordable.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to invest in housing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
and they don't get that math. They don't understand this. And I keep telling them, I say, "See, this is that liberal logic at work here. You're not."
That's right. But we'll give it to you for free.
Yeah.
You'll understand this. We'll give it to you for free, and therefore,
somebody else is paying for it. Yeah. It's crazy.
Exactly.
It's madness. But hopefully we kill that thing. If not, I've been intending on moving out of Austin anyway, but it'd be even more of a motivation for me. So,
yeah.
But I want to jump real quick, into the DNA of democracy for the newbies out there that are listening and watching. Tell us about your book, The DNA of Democracy, and the motivation behind it.
Well, it's what we're talking about today, Randy. It's the American education system does not sufficiently educate the public on how our country was created and why. So the DNA of democracy walks through history and shows the harvest of all the different elements that came into our Constitution and why we fought the Civil War, right? People don't recognize this, the utter suffering that conflict created, but why we did it and why people gave their lives for it.
Yeah.
Then The Shadows of the Acropolis is volume 2, and that details how and why our country has changed over the last 100 years with more and more socialism, right, Randy? More and more presidents saying, we'll give you this for free, we'll give you that for free, right? At the expense of really bad people who don't deserve their money, right? And these are the Bernie Sanderses and the AOCs, and it's got to the point today, and the book goes right to today, where they want all the power in the country in order to give everything for free to everybody. Yeah. Well, it doesn't work. And what it does is take everybody's rights away and gives them to the state. Yeah. So we've been fighting we fought World War II against the type of socialism that the Democrats are now proposing. We fought the Cold War against the socialism Democrats now want.
Yeah. It's amazing, and thank you, Richard, for taking the time to put these two books together. I know you have more books, and you're writing articles. Matter of fact, I wanted to touch on that. You say your recent article. Where can people go to find your articles?
Well, I have a website called richardclyons.com. And all my articles are there. Or I wrote this book. This is a compilation of all the articles. Okay. And it's the third volume of the series. There will be 4 books in the series. But all the compilation of the articles are here, and it's available on my website. All 3 volumes are available at Amazon. And I think they give you a price break, because I still got my Jeep. They offer a price break if you buy all 3 volumes at once.
Yeah.
I'm not like Bernie Sanders,
Right. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah. Richard, I love having you on and having these discussions because people don't understand where we are today in society, and they don't understand the mechanics of our governance. A couple weeks ago, I had a lengthy debate about, somebody was saying like our democracy, and I was like, please stop saying our democracy, say our republic, because we're a republic.
It's a
we're not a
constitutional republic.
Exactly, yes. And the reply was, well, that's a type of democracy. That's the left's like way of avoiding saying republic. I think they say they're avoiding it because they don't want to make it sound like they're supporting Republicans. So they say, well, that's a type of democracy. And I'm like, why don't you just say democracy? Why don't you just say republic? We know it's a type, but say what it is.
Yeah, say what it is.
Mind blowing. But Richard, please share any final thoughts you have and where people can follow and support you, sir.
Well, no, I'd like to thank you, Randy, for your show and educating people. It's the most important thing. If everybody understood how important this is to their life, it is the basis of our life in this country. Whether you have rights as an individual, whether you have rights as a family, whether you have rights to your own property, this is very materially important to your life.
Absolutely. Thank you once again, sir. I truly appreciate it. And be safe out there. Continue to have fun.
Okay, you too.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll see you again soon.
Okay, Randy, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
absolutely. God bless. Be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Richard C. Lyons. Hey, check out his books. I got both of those. I'm working on the first volume, DNA of Democracy. It is excellent, and I'm being a student of history. You will enjoy it. For those who are students of history, rather, the DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, and then Shadows of Acropolis, Volume 2. Both as he laid out, it lays out a lot of things about where we came from as a society as a country to where we are now. And like I said, the first volume, I would say a quarterish through it. Everybody that knows me knows that I read a lot of books, and right now I just have not had time to read stuff lately. Pertaining to just leisurely reading. My reading lately has been consisting of mandatory reading, 2 campaigns, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Podcasts. I got to read stuff for the podcast. So you get it. You get it. But I highly recommend checking those out. For those who just want to get back into the understanding of the foundation of our republic. See, I was about to say our democracy. No. But to that point, yes, we are a representative democracy. And if you understand the different pillars of governance, and this is how I have to explain it to people, there's pillars of governance. There's different types. So you have your oligarchies, you have your monarchy, you have your plutocracy, bureaucracy, so on and so forth. When you see those buzzwords, those are types of governance, and people conflate. This is where we get into the problem here. People conflate democracy, because democracy is one of those pillars. The only country in the world that I'm aware of, anyways, and I did look it up, is Switzerland. Switzerland actually practices actual democracy as a governing pillar. They actually have a democracy. All other countries, they have some form of democracy, whether it's a representative government, a monarchy like the UK type of thing, but they have a chamber of legislators. So they have the House of Commons and the House of Lords, like our House of Representatives and Senate. So they have a similar structure, but they answer to the king in a sense. But the king is more of a figurehead, more of like the president, but doesn't do anything. It's a ceremonial thing. So that's how they have that set up. And that's why you have your prime ministers. The prime ministers is actually kind of like the role of the president, if you're following the baseline here. I'm not going to get into political science 301 here on you. But just so you understand that the United States, we are a constitutional federated republic. And people that want to keep saying that, our democracy, they don't understand it. They say that because they think they have power. They think they have a voice in making decisions, in the decision-making process. Yes, you have a voice in terms of voting for things, but at the end of the day, you don't have the power to enact anything. So that's the confusion there. Versus Switzerland, where the people, they come together as bodies and they create policies and everything else, and they discuss, vote, and all that. That's down to the individual. Last time I checked, no one in my neighborhood is writing policy and going to the city square and saying, hear this policy here would now be in effect. Nobody's doing that. Okay, so that's not what we do in this country. Now, you may have somebody that's pretending to do all that. That's something different. They're just crazy. But nonetheless, that is the difference. And a lot of people don't understand it. So when they espouse the idea of we're a democracy and everything else, it tells me immediately, right out the gate, you don't have an idea what the hell you're talking about. Stop talking. But folks, I'm going to get up out of here. That was a great conversation. I really enjoyed that. But folks, I will see you all on next week. It will not be any time this week again. I don't believe. I'm pretty sure of it. I got a lot of stuff going on later on this week, so that's why I'm trying to get these interviews on the front end, because the later on in the week is going to be crazy. So keep it locked. Don't let the truth be told. Come back this evening to Pastor Lowry at 6 p.m. On his platform, on Rumble and everything else. But he also will be airing on Let the Truth Be Told app. So if you have not downloaded that yet, do so. Let the Truth Be Told network. So that being said, I'll catch y'all later. Ciao, ciao. I hope you enjoyed today's program. You can follow, like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Substack, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and your news. And also, you can download Let the Truth Be Told app on your favorite streaming platforms, such as Fire Stick, Apple TV, and Roku. Take care. God bless.